So guys, alright, before we get into this video, check that bad boy out. This has nothing to do with the showcase. I just wanted to flex real quick. I paid like $90 for this, so. Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Custom Track Wiiki Showcase. My name is Justin and we will be going through anything Custom Track related that was uploaded to the wiki in February 2022. We're officially a series and I'm glad to be doing this again since you guys seemed to like it last time. If you happen to miss the last video, the link is in the description if you're interested in some of the tracks from January 2022. Admittedly, I am very late to this episode. The first couple weeks of March have been super hectic for me because of my schoolwork, but here we are now. Better late than ever. There was so much activity in February and a crazy amount of good stuff was uploaded to the site. The site itself has changed quite a bit in functionality, so that's cool. I really had to condense this list much more than I normally would have, but obviously it's amazing to see the wiki going strong so many years after the game's release. For this month, I picked out 20 tracks to showcase, and believe me, it could have been more than that, but let's not waste any more time and get right into the tracks. Starting things off, we have a version of N64 Rainbow Road by CP Fusion, which was uploaded on the 1st of the month. CP Fusion is a relatively newer creator who debuted his first CT on the wiki in mid-2021. He's released 3 tracks and I think they're all pretty good. You might know him for his version of GBA Snowland, which is currently in CTGP. I really like the creative directions he took with the design of that track, and he did the same thing here on this version of Rainbow Road as well. This is based on the Mario Kart 8 version with some changes to make it more fitting for Mario Kart Wii, and this is very easily the best version of N64 Rainbow Road that has ever been made. This is CP Fusion's first track using Blender, which I think is wild considering how naturally good this feels. It feels like a very experienced Blender modeler would have created this. The design and sizing of this track is absolutely perfect. This is an absolute joy to drive, which is surprising considering that I don't find the original or the Mario Kart 8 version to be all that good in comparison. The visuals are just what they needed to be, unique compared to the regular tracks with beautiful lighting and background scenery like the glowing Mario characters. The shortcuts are really nice, especially the cannon one, and I love the objects too. The spinning star animations, the Aurora object from the original Rainbow Road with new textures placed perfectly, and the awesome chain chomps as one could expect. I don't think I really have to justify why I like this track so much. I think its strong suits are very clear, and do not be surprised if this finds itself replacing the CTGP version soon. Incredible job CP Fusion. I hope we can see more tracks from you in the future because you've made some great stuff in less than a year despite only releasing 3 tracks. Up next, we have Lunar Lantern Festival by Squire Turnbolt, which was initially uploaded on the 3rd of February. Squire Turnbolt was a creator I showcased in my last video, if you guys remember his version of Wii U Electrodrome. I ended that segment by saying that I hoped he would make more tracks in the future since I thought he was on a roll in terms of making a bunch of great tracks in a row. Let's just say, you can expect to see his name pop up in this video multiple times. Going back to this track in particular, this takes inspiration from a different Mario Kart 8 track this time around, Dragon Driftway, but rather than a remake, this is a completely original design. And my favorite thing about this track is the modeling. It is clear that Squire is super talented when it comes to this. The atmosphere of the track, along with the background and foreground elements, all look amazing. The dragon heads leading into the tube sections in particular are pretty stunning. The town section also looks incredible. But something that this track does that I don't think I've seen any other custom track do before is flip the entire background to make it seem like you're racing upside down halfway through the course. It's a really neat illusion, so I had to give credit where it's due there. I like the objects a lot here too, the custom lanterns, custom wigglers, custom thwomps, and I like how these objects play into the illusion of the second half of the course being upside down, predominantly the group of upside down toads and Mario enemies. The visuals are incredible and unique too. I love the portraits of Akito on the sides of the dragon tube sections and how all the buildings generally look in the track. The design is also nice too, going for something similar to Dragon Driftway but not completely, and it has a lot of satisfying tricks and driving sections to make this fun to play as well. Overall, a very solid course from Squire, and we'll be sure to see many more of those in this video. Our next track might seem a little familiar to you guys, but this is Mystic Tangle by ZPL, which was uploaded on the 6th of the month. I'm gonna say this every month, but ZPL needs no introduction. We all know him by now. The interesting thing about this new track in particular though, is that if you guys watched the last video, then this design needs no introduction as well. This is an overhauled version of Rainfall Ridge that ZPL decided to make into a new course with an entirely different name and theme. Instead of the grassy rainfall setting of the last course, this track takes place in a forest akin to Pokemon Sword and Shield's Glimwood Tangle. As per usual, I have not played Pokemon Sword, nor have I played Pokemon Shield. Regardless, I mean, yeah, it's Rainfall Ridge with a different theme, and spoilers, I named it the best track that came out last month. I'm actually not too sure which version I prefer though, since honestly, I really liked the Rainfall theme from the last track, and I'm not too familiar with the Glimwood Tangle area of the newer Pokemon games. But I can see why some people would prefer this version visually, as it's beautiful, and again, this is also very unique. The atmosphere is incredible, and the Pokemon objects scattered throughout are pretty cool as well. In terms of design, I mean, yeah, this is the same design that I praised ZBL for in the last video, one of my favorites to come out in recent memory. The only real change to the design was less grass at the ending section and tree branch tricks instead of the fountain tricks from before. Actually, there's also a Dry Ruins style golden cut at the very ending of the track that saves a good chunk of time that I think is absolutely sick. This track overall can make for some incredibly fun races for competitive CTs for sure. Even if it could be considered more luck based, the tech and meta surrounding the track is really neat in my opinion. Great update, CPL. The 36th Custom Track Jam took place this month, and the results were uploaded on the 7th of February. The theme was space, and the first track I chose to cover was the track that claimed the victory in the competition. This is Snifit Station by Shorky and Bruh de la Boy. You guys might remember Shorky from the last video, the guy who made Pandora Palace and Candy Corp Canyon. I don't believe I've talked about Bruh de la Boy on the channel before though. She's another creator who I've had my eye on since her first track was uploaded back in late 2020. Another frequent competitor of Custom Track Jams, as evident by the fact that I am talking about a track from the jam competitions after all. This track takes place in a space station that's owned by Snifits, which are those Shy Guy things that have the gas masks and shoot metallic bullets. I didn't know they were called Snifits until now, truth be told. They certainly have a strange design for a Mario character. Anyways, yeah, this is a very solid track and it's not hard to see why it won the jam. I said this with the Shorky tracks last time, and this point also applies to Bruh de la Boy too. Every aspect to most of their tracks are consistently good. I don't know if this is a SketchUp thing or not since I know both creators use SketchUp, but the modeling is good, the visuals are good, the theming is good, the objects are good, the design is good, everything about this comes together to make a really great track, and no element seems neglected in a sense, which is more surprising considering this is a jam track after all with a stricter time limit. The visuals are super neat. I especially like the fading texture for the floating road sections and the rainbow tunnel at the end of the track. The thwomps riding in the carts are adorable, and I love the texture used to indicate where they're going. I know I said this for all the tracks before this one, but the visuals are really nice and unique here as well. I'm unsure where most of the textures came from, which is always nice to see. The design is really great too. This track is fun to drive, and even if the main route requires half pipes, which can be janky at times, they function fine enough and are pretty fun to go off of in that starting section particularly. Overall, I really like this track. Congratulations on the jam wins, Shorky and Bruh de la Boy. You guys definitely deserved it. Snifit Station wasn't the only track from the Space Jam that I wanted to highlight though. We also have Cheese Moon Fortress by Carry On and Toxic Amaranth, which tied for second place. Carry On and Toxic Amaranth, or Toxic Prime, who he's better known by, are both common frequenters of the jam as well. Toxic Prime is the only person who has participated in all 37 Custom Track Jams, and one of the few people, if not the only person, to have participated in every season of the jam. What can I say, he has the ZPL work ethic. Carry On's another pretty common contender for Custom Track Jams, and one that I don't think I've covered on the channel before other than his 8-bit way track in the CT Jam ranking video. Since then, he's improved a lot and released some very nice jam courses. Shifting our focus back onto Cheese Moon Fortress, this is just a good course. Beautiful cheesy scenery, in a good way, with some nice changing segments and different types of gameplay, from the half-pipe section to the open areas to the split path tunnels at the end. The metal grates in the open section are interesting for sure, and they add some personality to the track. The red animated skybox is great, the very high quality looking picture of the earth is a nice touch, and all the cheese related textures are beautiful. I think my favorite thing about this track is the fact that it is cheese related. Toxic Prime was one of the few people who participated in the first ever Custom Track Jam which had the theme of cheese. I know this is a collab track with Carry On, who definitely played his part here, but it is cool to see how far Toxic has come when comparing his first cheese track to this one. Awesome job, guys. I did want to quickly shout out a couple other tracks from the Space Jam that didn't release on the wiki before we move on to some other tracks, since I would have talked about them otherwise. Zero Grab Trek by Joe Who was a very pleasant surprise that I think you guys should check out, and Seismic Islands by Bear and Billy Noodles was a very well put together spacey course as well. I also quite like Intergalactic Lair by David Slane and Sneaky, who made his first CT Jam appearance, and I would have talked about the track had this not been such a massive month for CTs. Alright, let's move on now. Coming up next, we have N64 Banshee Boardwalk by ZPL. The track was initially uploaded in 2019 but was remade from scratch, with this version releasing on the 11th of February. Another ZPL track and another ZPL retro, and like his take on 3DS DK Jungle, this was another touch-up that he wanted to do for his retro rewind distribution, I'm assuming. I'm pretty sure that I mentioned how much I liked the 2019 version in both of my CTGP ranking videos, so as you can expect, I was excited to see how this track would function, and yeah, this went from being the best version of Banshee Boardwalk in Mario Kart Wii to the best version of Banshee Boardwalk in Mario Kart Wii, but purple. I suppose that's the main difference that might make or break this for some people, but the purple aura and colorful textures work great for the track in my opinion. It really sets it apart from the other Ghost Valley tracks, especially when considering the full nature scenery as well. As for the design, I think this drive's pretty similar to ZPL's previous Banshee Boardwalk. It's a track that's sort of hard to get creative with design-wise, but this certainly drives great. Despite being brighter, this track is much more intense with the harsh light map coming from the lamps and torches and the shadows throughout the course as well. I know this is a really short segment, but I really don't have much else to add on for this track. It's the best version of Banshee Boardwalk. Great work as always, ZPL. Our next track is Interstellar Laboratory, created by Broafun and period_period, which was uploaded on the 14th of the month. This track was originally made to compete in the Space Jam that I mentioned before, but it wasn't finished by the deadline, so the creators decided to take their time and release it after. Shifting our focus to the creators though, these are two people that I have not talked about before on the channel. They're both newish creators in terms of wiki presence who I've seen roaming around in the CT Jam Discord server frequently. This is Broafun's second release track, though I'm sure he's someone who does not release most of his projects despite how good they look in the CT Jam Showcase channel. This is also period_period's 7th release track on the wiki since he started in late 2021. For the rest of this video, I'll be calling him Dot for short. The track fittingly takes place in space with a colorful rainbow city, a space laboratory, and a Rainbow Road section. I think what's really neat about this track is that it's sort of a simple track for being a spacey expedition, which would not be my first expectation based on the theming. Granted, there is still some depth in the design here, but this track definitely works as a stripped back version of the intense Rainbow Roads. I always like to praise visual and design switch-ups in a track since I think it's a very underappreciated element of track creation. The single Rainbow Road section goes into the large laboratory with interesting path switches and an open design. Then we get to the city section with half-pipes and off-road cuts. All of these sections make sense in context, but they play very differently to each other. They also look very different from each other. I like how the textures here come together to create something unique, like the boost panel texture I've never seen before, the music Park Road in the city section, the N64 Rainbow Road texture, and the laboratory textures from wherever they came from. The path switches in this part are strange since they're definitely slower, but I don't mind it personally. It adds character for sure, and creators have probably been doing this more and more because of the popularization of the hide and seek game mode, which I think is super creative and I love to see getting played. I really hope we can see hide and seek and online TT modes in CTGP soon since KO mode got added relatively recently. Regardless, this is a great track. I'm glad that these guys were able to take the time to complete a jam course outside of the competition since I know that can be hard to find motivation for when it doesn't get ranked against the other tracks. It definitely panned out for sure. Nice work, guys. Up next, we have a remake of Alpine Skyway by Luca, which was also released on the 14th of February. Luca is a creator that you guys are probably familiar with. He used to go by Noya, and I believe he started releasing tracks in 2020, but he has many tracks in CTGP now like Venom Snowstorm, Musical Cliff, SNES Koopa Beach 2, and SNES Donut Plains 2. He has a very modern Mario Kart feel to his tracks, and he's very talented. This is a remake of the original Alpine Skyway by XBlue98, which is a track that I really loved playing in the past. It's really interesting to see Luca go for a track like this where a remake would be a lot more difficult since the original is very well respected from what I can tell. I also know it appealed to the competitive scene back then, and making a Mario Kart Tour styled remake is ballsy to say the least, but I gotta say, it panned out here incredibly well. Easily better than the older version, and I'm not scared to admit that as much as I love the original version. I mean, my god, the brilliance is clear on this one. This looks like Nintendo made it straight up. XBlue98's original track had a genius theme, and this took the great concept and pushed it to new levels. First off, the visuals, they're great. This is the perfect look it needed for the theme and the modern feel that Luca goes for. The design is what really shines for me personally though. This is so smooth and fun to drive. The ramps, the perfect turns, the genius whirlwind cannon, and the amazing half-pipe section all come together to make an incredible quality track. The spiral skip is still here, though it saves much less time and is much harder, but I'm perfectly fine with how it is right now. I really appreciate the small details like how the cannon looks and the marks of the snowboarding Shy Guy routes that DK Summit doesn't even have. This track will get into CTGP, and I really hope that everyone can see this track for how quality it is and realize that this was much better than the genius but inconsistent original. Incredible job, Luca. I'm looking forward to your next ideas. The original designs and remakes are exciting, and I can't wait to see more. Coming up next, we have another take of a Mario Kart 8 track. This one in particular is Wii U Twisted Mansion by the Gaming Bram, initially uploaded on the 18th of the month. The Gaming Bram is a creator I'm not too familiar with outside of some of his tracks that I played in distributions. This is the first time I've covered him on the channel, I believe, and I think he's a pretty decent creator overall with some really good tracks under his belt. I noticed that he's been focusing on bringing a ton of Wii U tracks into Mario Kart Wii using the original models, which can sometimes lead to bumpy gameplay and jagged modeling. But I think this version of Twisted Mansion is very nice, and I could see it making for some great online races. The main thing that stuck out to me was the beginning section with the wavy road from Bowser's Castle Wii, because wow, that is a smart workaround and looks and plays perfectly here. I know that scaling that object is very weird, and this even has custom textures to fit in with the track, but I really appreciate its inclusion because it makes total sense. The rest of the track is good, and I think goes to show that despite the name, Twisted Mansion is a track that could work better in Mario Kart Wii than most other Mario Kart 8 tracks. I like the courtyard section, though I'm not sure if you can shroom off the fountain and land on the top path. If you could, that would be really cool. Other than that, the track is pretty good. The visuals are very nice, and the design doesn't make too many compromises to bring Twisted Mansion to the Wii game. There is some noticeable bumpiness still, but with all that ironed out, I see a lot of potential for this track in distributions that aren't CTGP, since Beam won't allow any Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart Tour tracks, like I mentioned in my last video. Great job, the Gaming Bram, and I hope all goes well as you continue making your Wii U tracks. Next, we have a new version of SNES Bowser Castle 3 created by Kiwi Power Green, uploaded on the 18th of February as well. Kiwi Power Green is someone who I haven't really talked about before on the channel, I don't think, but he's released many custom tracks, and I'd say he's improved quite a bit. This track in particular, well, it's SNES Bowser Castle 3, let's just talk about it now. I think the main cause for concern when deciding how effective a SNES Bowser Castle 3 take is in Mario Kart Wii is how the successive ramp section is handled. The CTGP version has it as untrackable boost panels, which is alright but definitely not as satisfying as it could be in my opinion. This track takes a different approach and has slow ramps, which both make sense and seem a little off at first, but there's actually a neat strategy where hopping off the ramps makes you go really fast since you don't get that slow ramp effect. I'm aware it essentially becomes the CTGP version at that point, but I think the meta surrounding that section is really neat. The track also looks a lot better than I think every other SNES Bowser Castle 3 does on the wiki. Definitely some Jasper and ZBL inspired visuals, but still great nonetheless. And everything else about the track is solid as well, like the thwomps and the rest of the design. I won't say this is definitively better than the CTGP version. I think I like it more, but it does remove some turn skip meta, and the successive ramp section has benefits and drawbacks. But I think this was a great take of the original, and I'm glad to see that Kiwi was the creator of a track this quality. Awesome job here. Not only did the 36th edition of the Custom Track Jam occur in February, but the 37th edition occurred during the same month, with the results video uploaded on the same day as the last two courses. The theme of the jam was Dream, with a requirement of dedicating the track to somebody special as a tribute to Valentine's Day, and the track I chose to talk about was Citrus's Overgrown Lemon Garden by Love Life and T-Pose024, which also happened to be the winner of the jam. Again, I'll be calling him E-Man Rezu for the rest of this segment since 4 syllables is better than 8. E-Man Rezu, if you guys remember, was in the last video for his Donkey Kong Jump Conquest experience. While a very hard track to top for sure, I think this one is also pretty decent. The track is dedicated to Citrus, who is another cool creator with his Overgrown Lemon Garden, because Citrus. Anyways, yeah, this definitely makes sense for a dream track. I think the best aspect of the track is something you can't even see in the track itself. In NoClip, you can see that the whole track balances itself on a grass and road patch that slowly fades away because this is a dream track. The skybox for this is also perfect, I must add. The track itself, visually and design-wise, very nice. It drives great, it's more short and sweet, and it has the same Bowser Castle Wii object that I praised in Twisted Mansion by the Gaming Bram, and it was placed in this track perfectly as well. I also really love the lemon objects that replace the boulders from DK Mountain. It's a really nice touch. The visuals and theme are also completely unique, so that is very nice to see. Overall, pretty standard for a more serious E-Man Rezu track, and that standard is insanely high, yet he meets it with every track. Great job here, E-Man Rezu. Again, I'm gonna also quickly shout out some other jam courses I would have talked about had they been released. The first one was Sublunary Subliminality by Bear, which Citrus's Overgrown Lemon Garden barely beat out. Sorry. Yeah, no, but both of these top 2 tracks were really great, and I hope Bear can release both of his jam tracks from this month in the future. The other track was Fint's Nightmare by Slime Server, which basically put 2 tracks together since the intro section is not revisited, so you have to do 2 laps in the city section. I hope it gets released as well. A couple quick shoutouts to Jaden's Jumping Jam Dreams by Shorky and Across Surreal Skies by Toxic Amaranth, both the Jaden inspired tracks that I really liked but didn't have enough time to cover. Alright, let's move on now. Our next track is Bowser's Termination Station by Squire Turnbull, TL, and Bugsy, which was uploaded on the 19th. This is not our first track from Squire this month, and this won't be our last for sure, but this is a collaboration. In terms of the other creators, Bugsy is a great track maker who I think I've only really covered in my CT Jam video, and TL is another cool creator who I haven't covered much before either. In essence, TL made the base layout for the lava theme section, Squire added the rainbow part and created most of the visuals, and Bugsy made the light map and optimized the whole track. Now onto the track itself. This is basically a mix of Rainbow Road and Bowser's Castle, and it's crazy to think that Nintendo has never attempted this before, but wow, if Nintendo does decide to try this theme, they're gonna have to put in work to top this. The Bowser's Castle start reminds me of a combination of the Wii U and the DS version with nice object placements and great visuals. The open courtyard section with the Bowser statue is beautiful. The banked rock section is nice and it hammers home the fact that this whole track is super fun to drive. The lava steam room looks beautiful. The section in Kamek's Conservatory Observatory is cute and is a nice change of pace on top of every other change of pace that this track already has. Also, the observatory section has a cool gap shortcut very similar to Mushroom Gorge, which I can see being very cool in competitive settings since it skips a set of boxes and it's in the middle of the track. The objects like the fire bars and thwomps leading to the cannon are well placed and make that straight much more enticing to play. And then we get to the cannon and the Rainbow Road section. I'd say it takes after the Wii U version the most. It's not super long, but the satellite shortcut is very smart, and the Bowser Mushroom is satisfying to go off of. Then the ending with the double Aurora object from Rainbow Road with Bowser themed texturing is beautiful. The track is so well put together, and I don't think there's any dull moments in this very large course. The theme is incredible, the visuals are incredible, and the design is incredible. There's still some meta surrounding the course despite being a track that is heavily focused on being modern and polished. Honestly, I have no complaints. This is genius and brilliantly executed. Well done, you three. We also have another track by Squire Turnbull which was uploaded on the same day, Honeymoon Lune. This track takes place in the Moon Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey, and it's really cool to see tracks themed around that game getting made since they often come out so unique visually, and this is no exception. It's unreal how consistently good Squire has been with all of his tracks coming out. This track is much shorter than Bowser's Termination Station, but I think it definitely works to this track's strength. This perfectly resembles the original Moon Kingdom, and I love the color palette of basically red, purple, and gray. It offers very unique visuals in comparison to any other custom track. The design is also really nice, going from the starting Space Rock section with great shortcuts and satisfying Trickable Road, the carpet section leading to the beautiful wedding ceremony, the ramp outwards leading to Bowser's ship, and then one final turn to end things off. It all flows together really well. The design is definitely a strong suit here. The other strong suit is the objects. Oh man, are they great. As decorations, there are the purple coins throughout the track, the characters from Super Mario Odyssey like a realistic Pauline object, the Tostarenin characters, I believe that's what they're called, I'm sorry if I botched that pronunciation. It's got goddamn Captain Toad at the wedding, it has the realistic tall city people from the game, and it has adorable floating dry bones objects with top hats at the ship section. It also has one non-decorative object, which is the spinning spiky rock thing from the original Moon Kingdom, and they function great. They have stagnant cactus collision, which will make you spin out, so the hitbox is a little wonky, but it's amazing for what it is. Overall, this track comes together incredibly well to make an amazing course. I really love it, and I can't believe that Squire uploaded 2 bangers on the same day. Imagine that. I wouldn't be able to get 2 bangers out in 1 month. I could barely do a banger track at this point. Awesome job, Squire. Up next, we have a version of GBA Yoshi Desert by ZBL, which was initially uploaded in early 2021 but was remade from scratch and released on the 23rd of the month. I don't have much to intro here, this is a ZBL track and it's a retro. I'm not a big fan of GBA Yoshi Desert, but ZBL did his best to make this track interesting and I think it works for sure. If you guys like Yoshi Desert, then this track is definitely for you. It takes after a Mario Kart 8 style that I think benefits the track since the GBA version didn't have much to offer. The visuals are definitely nice with a bright atmosphere and good shadows. The main aspect I love about this track is the design because this is super satisfying to drive. The ramps were utilized almost perfectly, giving lower tricks and lots of speed with little slowdown. The base design from the GBA isn't too exciting otherwise, so this definitely does the best it can to make it interesting. The atmosphere is also very nice. The background is full of pyramids and billboards and everything. The water and grass sections look nice, and yeah, not too much to say on this one again, but definitely the best version of GBA Yoshi Desert on the wiki, and you guys might appreciate more than me if you like the original track. I also felt like I had to include it because Carb talked about the first version in his monthly showcase series, and I thought it would be cool to showcase it again with the complete remake. Great job, CPL. Coming up next, we have Empty Space by MKWii, which was initially a part of the Dream CT Jam earlier in the month, but was uploaded separately to the wiki on the 24th. So, funny story, do you guys remember when in the last video I said that I don't think Family Go-Kart Racing's Downhill River by MKWii was indicative of what's to come from him in the future? Well, I guess I was right, because on the same day I uploaded that video, he announced that he's quit making CTs for good. Talk about timing. Basically, this track he made for the CT Jam that he initially didn't intend to release was uploaded as his send-off track when he decided to quit. Even without the context of it being more symbolic of a final statement, I really liked this course from what I saw in the CT Jam preview before MKWii decided to stop making tracks. It's mainly how unique this is and the fact that it's not really a track but instead an experience. This is a one-lap course that runs for 5 minutes, so probably not one you guys might find in a distribution anytime soon. Regardless, I still respect the hell out of this track and I wanted to talk about it since it does a lot of cool things. It's visually incredible. I mean, the thick black outlines and the slight colorful tint to all the materials makes this look really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of objects floating around the track, but this still definitely feels empty in a sense. And for a 5-minute track, it doesn't drive that bad, to be honest. I did not mind driving this track in its entirety every time I played it for the video. Granted, if I was forced to play this in a distribution whenever anybody else wanted to play it, I'd probably mind the length a lot more, but this is surely better than Peaks at the very least. I think a time trial leaderboard for this track would be cool as more of an endurance test to see how fast people are willing to go when they are 3 minutes into a run. There's not a lot in the way of switch-ups, but the occasional blocky section with multiple paths and shortcuts do make the track more interesting for sure. There's a message on this track's wiki page by MKWii about his departure from the community and what he wants the track to stand for. He ends the paragraph by saying, "And as the track describes, please just take a second to think, and think hard about life itself. Reflect, remember, and relive, and consider yourself lucky for encountering this community." The half-pipe sections on a completely different road are cool, but also a little wonky. Just kidding. I don't have many critiques with this track, because it's a rather critiqueless track. It's not trying to be the next CTGP edition, so what can you really say about it? I mean, I had some things to say about it, but that's because I liked it. As sad as I am that MKWii stopped making tracks, I imagine that he's wanted this for a while, even if I think he's improved immensely and was on the brink of making a really good custom track that could be in CTGP if he hadn't already. I think Polluted City Shore was my favorite of his, and I could definitely see it being in CTGP. So, if he doesn't ever come back, this might be the last time that I ever talk about MKWii on the channel. I mean, we're banking on a Mario Kart Wii community member quitting the game for good, which hasn't always worked, but he definitely made his exit seem official, so yeah. Great stuff on this track and all your other ones, MKWii, and good luck on your future Mario Kart Wii list ventures. Our next track is a take on GBA Boo Lake by Slime Server, which was initially uploaded in late 2021, but had a decently sized update on the 27th. Slime Server is a creator I've talked about on the channel before when he released Lyncha Lair 2, a track that I really liked. Since then, he's released many other awesome tracks like this retro of GBA Boo Lake in 2021. He did update this during the month to change visuals, remake the final area of the track, and provide some general fixes, but I never got to cover this track when it first released anyway, so I thought I'd do it now. I really appreciate the creativity of this track since the other takes of GBA Boo Lake are just the GBA version in Mario Kart Wii basically. This adds a lot to the track to make things interesting. Instead of a dark boardwalk, this takes place in more of a deserted and poisoned forest with some boardwalk sections as well. It begins with a lot of ramps into the lime green forest section where we can see a very creative path switch here, along with boardwalk shortcuts to the left. My favorite part about this section is that you can jump up or down onto each section without being counted out of bounds to create on the spot and interesting plays if the situation becomes dire. Then we reach a long straight into a cool gap shortcut, and then we head onto the completely new, rocky, and lifeless area of the forest. The dead trees, the gravestones, 3D boos, and grey munchers really add to the ambiance. Then it leads right back to the boardwalk section. I really like these creative remakes of old Mario Kart courses since they add so much life to the original flat tracks. Be honest, would you rather see a faithful remake over this? I think it does a really good job representing the original track and still making it super fun to play. I think this track would be great alongside the version in CTGP currently since I know people like the faithful adaptation, but I certainly like this version much more. Awesome job, Slime Server. I'm looking forward to any new tracks of yours. Up next, we have a version of SNES Mario Circuit 2 by Bubby64, which was uploaded on the 27th as a part of Toxic Amaranth's Mario Kart Wii Track Challenge. For the challenge, participants had 1 week to remake, port, or retexture a retro track of their choice, and the idea was inspired by the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass announcement, which I thought was a pretty neat concept for a contest. This was made by Bubby64, a creator that released his first 2 tracks during the month of February 2022. This is the one I wanted to focus on though, since I think the idea and the execution is very neat. The track is SNES Mario Circuit 2, but this is a desert themed course. The original layout, but a completely different theme, and I think it works pretty well. There are a lot of creative liberties to the track, but it is very cool to see how some people might interpret the original designs differently. I really like Mario Circuit 2's design, so this was a hit for me for sure. The desert visuals are really cool with a really detailed light map and lamps brightening up the dark desert setting. The track is simple and quick, very fun to drive, and probably one that would be cool to time trial. The cave section and the bridge ramp are a nice change of pace at the very end of the track, where there's also a lap 3 shortcut where you can dive into the off-road, which I think is pretty cool. Overall, yeah, this is a pretty decent course. If you're looking for a SNES Mario Circuit 2, this might not be it, but I am interested to see where Bubby64 goes from here, since this is a very nice second track. Great stuff, Bubby. Also, since this was a part of Toxic Prime's track challenge, I wanted to quickly shout out a few other courses I didn't have the time to discuss, but I thought were still really good. GBA Bowser Castle 1 by Cats for Life looks insanely good. SNES Bowser Castle 3 by Dot is a really cool interpretation of the original SNES track, and DS Shroom Ridge by ZPL is a ZPL retro, so it's really good. I just don't have a lot to say about it compared to his other retros. Alright, let's move on. Coming up next, we have Motorcat's Dirt Derby by Bugsy, which was uploaded on the last day of February. If you guys remember from this video, Bugsy was the guy who helped optimize and give a light map to Bowser's Termination Station. For this track, however, he decided to port a Mario Kart DS custom track of the same name by NinjaBoy-SC, and despite being a clear port, it works much better in this game than you might expect. You can definitely tell this is from the DS, but that's mainly because of the visuals, and this is actually really smooth to drive. The turns are smooth, and the ramps in the beginning section shoot you consistently downwards in a fashion I have never seen before, and it's a really neat effect. The rest of the track involves more smooth turns and straights around and through logs. It's a rather simpler stadium type track, but still has a lot of personality, especially because of the visuals. The lower quality textures were kept, and I think they really helped give this track identity. It feels like it actively parodies a dirt derby stadium from an older video game in the SNES era maybe. The light map is also great, leaving certain faraway sections in the dark, which I think adds some ambiance and diversifies the visual experience effectively. There was a really cool shroom shortcut at the end where you can hop over the wall and land near the finish line, but it doesn't count the lap, sadly. Otherwise, I think this is a really nice track that could make for some exciting races and distributions. The fact that it's ported from Mario Kart DS only adds to its identity as a Mario Kart Wii track. Nice job, Bugsy, and NinjaBoy-SC too, I guess, for the original track on the DS. Our next track is another one by ZPL, Parkway Boogie, which released on the last day of the month as well. This was originally a remake of Jungle Boogie from Crash Nitro Kart, but became its own track separate from the original source material. Now this might not look like much at first, but I think this is a very big milestone for the track creating community. That's because this is ZPL's first, and I think the first ever commissioned Mario Kart Wii custom track. Commissions for whole custom tracks. That is so wild to me. I mean, it makes sense that ZPL is the one to do it because he can make tracks very fast and consistently good, but I think this is amazing for the community. I'll leave a link to his Ko-Fi page where you can commission a track for $50, which I don't know how the logistics of commissioning a track work in ZPL's case, but that's a steal, simply put. Moving back to this track, it's pretty good. I know some people might be put off by the fact that it is very short, but look at tracks like Luigi's Circuit and SNES Ghost Valley 2. There are uses for shorter tracks in distribution settings, and this does a fantastic job acting as a short track. The visuals are great, the forest atmosphere is nice, the boost panels to the side create a more interesting driving experience similar to the end of Luigi's Circuit, and overall, this track is just fun to drive. I don't have much to add beyond this, but I really hope that the commissioning process becomes a lot more common because it's truly amazing to see creators get financial support for the tracks that they make. Good stuff, ZPL. Up next, we have another track by Squire Turnbull, a version of 3DS Rosalina Snow World released on the last day of the month. This is the last track of Squire's to talk about this month, and he certainly had a run. I'm not a huge fan of the original Rosalina Snow World, but this track is still very, very nice. Definitely my favorite take in Mario Kart Wii, and that's mainly due to the visuals since this is beautiful. The lighting, unique textures, the background elements like the Rosalina statue on the ice, the underwater section, and the blue and purple animated lights in the air add such a vivid atmosphere to the track and makes the world feel so immersive, as corny as it sounds. The track also drives like Rosalina Snow World, so if you like the track then you'll like this as well. There are some interesting elements like how the Cheep Cheeps in the water section make you spin out if you hit them, which seems like a unique idea to me at least. It also has a custom Shavirian object in the background since Squire really likes to add custom Odyssey character objects. Otherwise, there's not much else to say other than that this is easily the best version of Rosalina Snow World and would be a shoo-in for CTGP as long as the proportioning in the underwater section is fixed so you can't reach the ice platform on top on laps 2 and 3. Amazing work throughout February, Squire. And finally, our last track of the month is MKW-SP, which is short for Mario Kart Wii Service Pack by Stebler. Now I know what you might be thinking. Justin, wasn't this track initially released in January? Why didn't you cover it in last month's episode? And to that I say, I missed it. I did not know that this track was uploaded, but it did get some hefty updates during the month of February. Now, while I'd severely doubt this being the case, you might also be thinking, Justin, the man with the gold wheel and a heart of steel, a face so cute I want to cop a feel. What am I even looking at here? I'm not fully convinced that what we're talking about is a gosh darn custom track, and if I was in the mood to continue gaslighting my audience, I would continue to do so 100% because I'm a boy of joyous whimsy, but I will restrain myself here. I did completely lie to you guys. This is not a track. This is basically my long-winded way of saying, for the wiki showcases, I will mainly focus on custom tracks as that is what I am the most interested in, but I will not hesitate to start talking about anything else that catches my interest, such as Mario Kart Wii Service Pack. This is an open source mod that accomplishes many different ideas, like having 6 different licenses, viewing 11 ghosts simultaneously, having a custom speedometer, a revamped ghost saving system onto the SD card, and more. This is Stebler's first and only release on the wiki. I myself am not a time trialer. I am not the Justin with the world records, so a lot of this stuff here would better appeal to members of the time trialing scene, but the code extension itself is still very neat so far. The menus were switched up in really cool ways so you can have 6 different licenses, but you only have the option to add another license along with the ones you currently have already, which is cooler than it seems on the surface, trust me. You also get a lot of quality of life setting changes like instant menu transitions, which let you fly through menu screens. The main aspect to this code extension is the time trialing mode that lets you save and view ghosts much easier. This extension allows you the option of playing 150cc and 200cc time trials with different ways to sort ghosts, determine how visible tags are and what the tags say, along with how you want the ghosts to operate. What initially caught my eye when I saw the preview video was the tag content, since it showed the comparison between the worldwide tops of Dry Dry Ruins, and instead of having the me name in the tag content, it had the time of the ghost, which I thought was really cool. But you do have the option to change it here to whatever you like. When playing the tracks, not much has changed other than the convenient speedometer in the top right and the input display on the left, which is interesting to watch since I used the Wii wheel, so it showed that I've made some wonky inputs. You have the option to add or remove a couple settings during the playtime, which I think is a super neat addition. I time trialed SNES Ghost Valley 2 to try and get times out as quick as possible for the ghost comparisons, and sadly it took me 8 attempts to get a 54-second time because I'm garbage at time trialing, but regardless, I have the runs and this is what it looks like to compare multiple ghosts. As you can see, there are a lot of funkies. You have the option to make them play no audio and become transparent ghosts, but I went with the most chaotic option, of course. You can also switch between the ghosts during races, which is a nice quality of life change compared to CTGP's ghost system. The new ghost menus are also super sleek and satisfying. Overall, there's not a lot to do if you don't plan on using the custom saving system for ghosts or comparing ghosts for videos or general amusement, but I highly recommend trying this out if you are interested. I've seen some videos with worldwide tops comparisons of the top 10 times for things like Mushroom Gorge Glitch and Dry Dry Ruins, and I'll leave a channel link to a page with some of those videos. They're really fascinating to watch. This code extension also has its own website and Discord server, so links will be in the description for anyone else interested as well. Great stuff, Stebler. Since this is probably going to be a long-term project, I look forward to seeing some of the features you end up adding to this. That about wraps up this video, and oh man, it's April now. Yeah, it took me super long to make this since I put it off due to all the schoolwork I had, but I will be getting these videos out sooner now that midterms are done, and I'll try and get to March as soon as I can. Links for these tracks and the authors' YouTube pages will be in the description as well. I'll give a couple of quick shoutouts for this award section since this video is already long enough. We often hear about awesome debut tracks, but never about amazing finale tracks. The award for the best finale track of the month goes to Empty Space by ManoWii. Only time will tell if this track is truly the finale course for ManoWii's CT career, but as it stands, it's a track that really showed ManoWii's strengths before he decided to leave. The award for the best code extension of the month was a toss-up between many in this video, but I'll have to give the edge to Mario Kart Wii Service Pack by Stubler. Definitely a project worth keeping up with if you are interested in the time trial scene. The award for the best retro track of the month was actually pretty close since there were so many great retros here, but I will give it to N64 Rainbow Road by CP Fusion. You know a retro recreation is truly special when the custom track version in Mario Kart Wii is the best way to experience the track in the entire Mario Kart series. It goes above and beyond the original material while staying true to its identity. And finally, the award for the best track of February 2022 is gonna go to Bowser's Termination Station by Squire Turnbull, TL, and Bugsy. Believe me, there were many amazing tracks to choose from in this video, but these three authors knocked it out of the park and made a track that is technically impressive in more ways than one. Awesome job again, guys. Alright, that's the video. If you liked it, be sure to head your way over to the like button, but only subscribe if you want to keep up with my content. Otherwise, I would rather you not if you don't want to. And leave a comment saying what you thought about some of these tracks. I like hearing different perspectives on them, or even the same perspectives. Maybe talk about some that I didn't cover in this video from January since there were so many that released. I just had to cut the track list down for time's sake. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll hopefully see you again soon with March's video. Peace out.